Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the Select Board meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. Welcome to the assessors and the Board of Assessors also. This is a special meeting on today's the 8th, I believe, of December for the tax classification hearing. And we'll just begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and
for
justice
all.
for all.
Thanks, everyone. Ed, would you want to start by reading the preamble, for a lack of a better term?
Yes, and I didn't bring the whole thing with me, so bear with me. Please note that due to COVID-19 coronavirus outbreak and due to Governor Baker's orders that Town Hall was closed to the public in regards to public meetings of the Select Board unless otherwise postponed or canceled. Otherwise, they will be live streamed. The Select Board meeting via Zoom on the internet and via public access TV on Charter Spectrum Channel 191. In-person attendance and public comment at Select Board meetings will be suspended until further notice. If you email a written public comment before the scheduled Select Board meeting, it'll be read at that Select Board meeting. If you email a written public comment after viewing something at a live stream Select Board meeting, it will be read at the next Select Board meeting. Please send your public comments via email to selectmen@townofsouthampton.org. Please note that all public comments must be within the requirements of the policy on public comments listed in the open time for the public. To watch on computer or tablet or phone, go to zoom.us/join. Hit join a meeting in the top right of your screen. Type in the meeting ID of 827-0734-0138, the password of 758448. Hit join, and please be sure to mute your device when joining in. The call-in for telephone number is 646-558-8656.
Thank you very much, Ed. Before we start, I just wanted to let everybody know, if you didn't hear already, that the governor put out new guidance for COVID starting the 13th of December. They're rolling back to phase 3, step 1, which is going to limit again theaters, performances, any recreational businesses have to close, and that there's a restriction to 50 people or less outdoors. Anybody that has a gathering more than 25 has to register the event with the Board of Health. And there's a number of other guidance, so please take particular note of that. We are not through this yet, unfortunately. With that, I'd like to open the public, the hearing, and that's 6:05 p.m. And who would like to speak relative to the tax classification?
I will, April West, for the Board of Assessors.
Okay, thanks, April. We got your handout.
Okay, that Martha prepared that.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, Martha. Yeah. So very simply, we have 4 things to decide tonight with the Select Board. The Select Board has 4 things to decide. The selection of a minimum residential factor, the selection of a discount for open space, granting a residential exemption, and granting a small commercial exemption. So trying to keep this as simple as possible for everyone. For fiscal year 2021, the total valuation of property in Southampton is $815,250,669. And that is broken into different property classifications, but we're only going to talk about 2 to keep it simple again. Residential properties make up 93.48% of our valuation, and commercial, industrial, and personal property taxes make up 6.52%. So the main question is whether or not the select board would like to change our residential factor of 1, which means that we have a single tax rate, into a split tax rate situation. So if we split the tax rate, it doesn't change the tax revenue, but it places more of a tax burden on the very small, less than 7% commercial, industrial, personal property, and reduces the tax burden on the residential, which in previous years, as we've discussed, it doesn't make a lot of sense for Southampton.
Any other comments by the assessors or select board?
I'd just like April to clarify, are there any surrounding towns that have different tax rates for commercial and residential
So yes,
immediately around Southampton?
yes, Holyoke, West Springfield, Springfield, Agawam,
Okay,
Westfield.
Westfield, the towns that have a significant commercial and industrial base.
How about Easthampton, April?
No, Northampton, Easthampton, Hadley, they're all single
They-
tax base.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, even Hadley is, okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions for April or any of the other people on the Board of Assessors?
I know somebody's going to ask it to us. If we increase the tax rate on the, or split the tax rate, is there any great savings to the residents on their tax base if we increased residential or decrease residential a couple points and increase the industrial commercial? Obviously, everybody's hurting on their tax rate. So will it significantly affect the individuals out there?
I think asking 7% of the tax base to carry a larger burden when it doesn't anyways. I don't think it would significantly change. Martha, maybe you can answer that a little bit better.
So with a residential factor, just playing with figures of, so if we start with a 1, everyone pays the same amount of $15.97. But if we give a residential factor of say 0.97 for the tax rate for residents, residential properties would be $15.49. And the tax rate for commercial, industrial, and personal property would be $22.84. So we're really not saving a whole lot for residential taxpayers. And we're making our very small commercial, industrial, personal property pay more.
I just
Now,
wanted to ask, because I know people are out there wondering. Yeah,
Everybody wants
Yeah.
to. Yeah. Thank you, Martha. That helps a lot.
yeah.
and given the fact that we would have a different tax rate for commercial versus, you know, the surrounding communities might be a disincentive for new businesses to come to town or existing businesses to stay here.
Correct.
Especially with Easthampton, Northampton being on a single rate. That's why I
Yeah.
asked about those.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's more our competition than Holyoke or Westfield.
Exactly.
Yes.
Is there a total number of businesses in Southampton that are classified as business? I know the percentage is on the low side, but is there a total number?
So for our commercial base, we have 62 commercial properties. That's not including businesses, our zoned commercial properties. So we have 62 zoned commercial properties. We have 10 industrial properties, and we have, well, why isn't that on there? Oh, okay. I was just looking, our solar field out on Valley Road is in the industrial category. So, yes, so that's 72, and then we have 37, 23 would be 60, 61, 62, 63, 67, 68 personal property accounts.
And Janet Kane, Board of Assessors. Martha, is that, you're saying there's properties, they're not all, there's some empty commercial properties and empty industrial properties, right? So those-
What I'm looking at gives a range. So that is all commercial properties. That would be all our zoned properties that are commercially zoned, sorry. So when you look at our zoning map, we have our residential, we have our commercial highway, commercial village, we have our industrial zone out by J&E, but you certainly have businesses in residential zones. So we're just talking about our commercially, industrially zoned properties.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So when I have April West, I have one more clarification, is that if we do adopt a single, a factor of 1 and a single tax rate, then the residential tax factor, then the tax rate is just a mathematical thing based on value and how many properties get divided in.
And what was that amount again that you said it was?
So it, for fiscal year 21, it will be $15.97 per thousand. And fiscal year 20 is $15.82.
Okay.
Would you just repeat that, please, April?
Sure. The new tax rate for fiscal year 21 will be $15.97 per thousand.
$15.97. Okay. Okay, so that's a little bit of an increase. Any other questions? Now procedurally, Ed, if there are no other additional questions, do we close the public hearing and then vote?
Make sure there's no questions or comments from the public.
Yep.
And
Any further questions from anyone? Okay, then a motion to close the public hearing.
correct.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
And I'll second.
Okay, Chris and then Francine. Any further comments, questions? All in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles eye.
Martin, aye.
Matt, are you on mute?
He
Yep.
was.
Hey, Matt, you good with closing the public hearing?
He's still on mute.
He can unmute himself. He's
Are you
unmuted.
Okay, Matt, you okay with closing the public hearing?
I
I
think
don't
he's
know if
We
we
can
frozen.
sit.
Is he
I think he's
frozen?
Doesn't
frozen.
respond. You there, Matt?
Yes, I am. I'm just having technical difficulties here. Roland, I'm assuming
Okay,
it's
thank you.
closed.
And- Okay, good. And Groden, aye. Okay, then at this point, would the select would like to make a motion relative to the tax classification?
I'll make a motion. We remain at one classification.
You've got the motion in your packet that you should use.
Oh, okay. Let's look it up here then.
Yeah,
And if you can't find it, I'll read it for you.
Francine, you have.
I have it handy.
So yeah, go ahead. I'm looking at my phone for it. So go ahead.
Okay, move that the select board to vote in accordance with MGL Chapter 40, Section 56 as amended, the percentage of local tax levy which will be borne by each class of real and personal property relative to setting the fiscal year 2021 tax rates and set the residential factor at 1.0 with a corresponding CIP shift of 1.0, pending the approval of the town's annual tax recap by the Massachusetts Department of Revenue.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so Francine and then Chris, any further discussion? Then all in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles on.
Martin,
Roland,
aye.
aye.
And Groden, aye. Thank you. Does that cover all of the, there are 4 items that we're supposed to adopt. Does that motion cover all of them?
That
No, it
covers
doesn't.
the minimum residential factor.
Okay.
And with the other 3, you don't have, you know, you can make a motion to do them or not do them, or you can just basically, you know, say, is anyone interested in a selection of a discount for open space? If no one is, no one has to make a motion. Same
Okay.
for granting of a residential exemption or granting of a small commercial exemption.
Okay. Well, the handout was extremely helpful in terms of just explaining all the different options and also what we've done in the past and what other communities in the state of Massachusetts have done. So is there anybody who would like to make any suggestions or discussion relative to our exemption for open space, commercial, industrial, or I'm sorry, discount for open space, residential exemption, or small commercial exemption?
So the Board of Assessors met right before this meeting, and we are not recommending any of those.
Okay.
Mhm.
Would the select board or anyone from the public like to speak to those?
Excuse me. I'm afraid if we adopt any of those, it's going to shift it to a smaller group of taxpayers. And I don't see that being a positive.
Yeah. I think looking at some of the other towns around that have adopted those, we definitely don't fit the bill in terms of the demographic and the kind of businesses and residences that we have.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at it, you know, 15 out of 351, 17 out of 351, it's just our community doesn't seem like a good match.
Right.
So if there doesn't need to be a motion for that, then we'll just pass over those options, okay?
Mhm.
And then if there's no other discussion relative to the assessors, thank you very much, Board of Assessors and Martha, for being here with us. I would
Okay,
like to,
Greenie,
Reading,
yep,
Reading.
Yep.
We floated our meeting over to this, so could I
Okay, good.
have a minute to just adjourn and take a vote?
Absolutely.
I make a
Okay.
motion to adjourn the assessors meeting.
I second. All those in favor, West, aye.
Kane, I.
Yes, Brainy, I.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you
you.
very much.
Yep. Thank you
Thanks
all.
again, Martha, for the
Thanks.
great handout.
Thank you.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Thanks,
Um,
Martha.
Thank you.
The only other item we have is to have open time for the public. And so the select board reserves time for open time for the public at each meeting. And so is there anybody that would like to speak from the public? Hi, Tammy.
Hi, Tammy Walunas, 298 College Highway. Thank you very much for, I'll be quick. For the residents that are watching, I just want to remind people that this Saturday, December 12th, from 9:30 until 12, is the Police and Lion Club Stuff a Cruiser event, where you can bring unwrapped toys, gift cards down to the police station. I want to also mention that the Southampton Historical Society will also be there selling their 2021 calendars for $15. It's going to be set up as a drive-through event, so please wear your masks. And I just want to let people know that this is a really good event for the toy drive. And if you haven't caught up with your calendar yet, please stop by and see one of us there.
Can you repeat again where it's going to happen, Tammy?
It is at, it's actually at 8 East Street, the police station itself.
Okay, great. So everybody, it'd be great to be able to support giving the toys and also buying a historical society calendar.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your good work.
Hey,
Anybody
Rini,
else?
yeah, why Tammy's here, you mind if she gives a 2-minute update on the progress of the house, the museum?
Sure. You
There's
don't
a lot,
mind?
lot
Not
of
at
work going
all.
on there.
Yes. So today we had an inspection on the foundation work, and it did not go well. And while that was going on, our roofers showed back up and finished the roofing. So the inspector will be coming back out tomorrow to do the inspections of the roofing. It is amazing what we've been able to do over there. We don't encourage anybody to go walking through there because there's nails everywhere. I've gone through with a metal detector and I still haven't gotten them all. But we have made tremendous progress inside, cleaning it up, getting the mildew boards off, and opening things up to be able to level things and put a new flooring in. Barry Cyril has donated a ton of wood from his sawmill, and it's moving along in the right direction. We just have to figure out how to go about fixing the foundation work that was done.
Thanks, Tammy.
Yep.
Anyone else have any thing they'd like to mention, or any of the select board have any other agenda items they'd like to discuss that can't wait till the next Tuesday's select board meeting?
Were you going to talk about input into evaluations, or is that going to be saved for next week?
Yeah, I did write on, I sent out the self-evaluation, or Ed has the self-evaluation, he's completing his self-evaluation. And then I followed the PQB policy in sending out the evaluation form to the select board. Last time, we also sent out I sent out an evaluation form to the people that report to Ed. And one of the members of town hall did express an interest in providing feedback to the evaluation, even though that person is not currently reporting to Ed. So I did write back and say that it will be on the agenda for next Tuesday's meeting.
Okay.
I was trying to limit the tonight's meeting, since it was an extra one, and both Matt and I have a short time frame here.
Yep.
But certainly there's time if anybody else would like to mention something. Chris, you want to talk about something?
I was just going to ask, I know Ed has been back and forth with our friends at MEMA on the Crazy Cares Act. They seem to have no end to their questions, and I don't know if he heard any more today, Ed?
Not as of about 5:15 when I came upstairs.
Yeah, just so that everybody understands, we have not received final approval for CARES Act 2 application. Everything on CARES 1 has been in play for a long time. So I'm reminding the Parks Department, for example, to get their signage dealt with. That was in round 1. Others that had things in round 1, you should be maybe moving on those if you haven't already. But round 2, we are, I guess, still on hold, right, Ed? I mean, we'd be foolish to try and spend stuff without that approval.
Correct.
And I don't know how they expect us to do it in 2 weeks. I'm beyond myself in terms of frustration. I'm sure Ed is worse.
It makes no sense. The services are supposed to be utilized, or funds expended by December 30th. How that is in any way supposed to happen when they haven't even told us yet about the funding is
Well, Well, they got to extend it. I mean, what are the other communities, and are they in the same situation, or do we have no idea? I mean, is everybody else in a waiting pattern?
Yep.
Seems to be, from what we've
Okay,
heard.
then they'll extend it. They'll have to.
Okay, well, right now, we're hearing otherwise from people that seem to know, and it just doesn't make any sense. So I'm hoping they do, because I can't imagine they won't. But right now,
Yeah.
we're in a holding pattern.
Yeah.
Tammy Walunas, 298 College Highway School Committee, Hampshire Regional School Committee. It was brought up at our meeting last night that they are denying us our FEMA money requests that went in for PPE and cleaning stuff, because we were only supposed to do that in March, apparently.
Oh, really?
Wow.
And they're denying quite a bit. We're almost $85,000 behind now.
Wow.
Oh,
And
Ed,
they promised in meetings that these things were going to be covered.
that's really concerning. Ed, is there anything we
Very.
heard about the vaccine refrigerator? Was there anything else that you got a point blank no on?
Nothing that I had a point blank no on. They did ask for further clarifications on the uses of such things as the awning for the Council of Aging, the laptops to be used outdoors under the tent, and the heaters for the library, the HEPA vacuum cleaner for the library, the air balancer for the library, the stair chair for the fire department, and the uniforms for the fire department.
Wow. So they asked the questions, you provided the answers, but they didn't come back and say, take it off the list?
No, they have not.
Okay.
And-
All right.
And,
Well,
and it had been reviewed by our direct representative, but it needed final sign off by their legal counsel.
okay.
Can I just ask, is there any recourse, Tammy or Ed, do you know, for the regional high school to push back on this?
I'll have to look into that, Francine.
Bobby Jones is working on it, but it was a huge, shocking
Yeah,
update, especially to
Yeah.
our budget right now.
yes.
And we still have things that we're working on up there.
Yeah, that's really concerning.
Yep, for sure.
Well, I'll get an update, obviously, on next Tuesday on the agenda. There also, I understand, have been some applicants that have been received for the accountant position. The assistant accountant position is being posted. And so that it will be on the agenda for next Tuesday. If other people have other items that they want to make sure is on the agenda, then please feel free to email me and Ed. Otherwise, if nobody has anything else, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
I think that was Francine and John.
That's okay.
Okay, any further questions, comments? Ed, do we need to make arrangements to go down and sign anything on this?
No, what
Okay.
all I'll have to do is get this motion and the vote to Lucy tomorrow, and rather than the select board actually having to come in and sign a form and send that to DLS, Lucy just needs to signify or certify the vote for in the DLS gateway system.
Okay, sounds good. All in favor then?
Tishman, aye.
Fowles eye.
Martin, aye.
Roden,
Roland,
aye.
aye.
All right, thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night, take
Don't
care.
forget, Saturday morning, please